You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. This show is brought to you by the kindest sponsorship of Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go. Asawase University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Duraplast, where Duraplast goes, water flows. Heaven mosquito spray and coil. Pleasant on humans, tough nightmare on insects. And Napa Foods is tasty. DBS Industries. Robert & Sons Limited Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care services provider. So now, gentlemen, before we move on, what would you say about what Muntaka has issued now? We know this issue became very topical, and the Chief Justice, the Judicial Service began a process to inquire into it. The minority had indicated that they would rather deal with the matter on the floor of Parliament, but Muntaka has issued a statement. And he says, I have reflected deeply and consulted broadly on the aftermath of the disclosure I made during an interview broadcast by Joy News TV on 10th January 2021. The disclosure was based on a report from a trusted colleague, which was that she had been approached by a justice of the Supreme Court seeking to entice her to vote for a particular candidate during the contest for Speakership of Parliament. Admittedly, because I did not specifically name any judge, this may have had the effect of scandalizing the judiciary in its entirety. This unintended consequence is deeply regretted. I therefore wish to respectfully retract same and apologize for the harm done to the image and reputation of my Lord Justices of the Supreme Court and the judiciary as a whole. Based upon good counsel, I have also decided to let sleeping dogs lie and will consequently refrain from any further public commentary on the matter, which, as I have indicated, was originally reported to me by a female colleague parliamentarian. I implore the media and the general public to kindly respect the spirit in which I offer this retraction and apology. It is my fervent prayer that the existing historic cordial relations between the legislature and the judiciary will not be affected by this incident, but will continue to grow in the interest of the country. So, yeah, what do you say about this?
Can I go to the top?
It's signed by Honorable Alhaji Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, MP Asawase, and Minority Chief Whip. You said?
No, I just wanted to go to the first paragraph.
The first paragraph. Yes. He said he has reflected deeply and consulted broadly on the aftermath of the disclosure he made.
Yes, I will wish that in addition to this, in fact, to start with, one should have been sent directly to the judiciary, because they are that's why I wanted to see whether there is an address at the top.
It's a press release.
Even though he made this so-called disclosure, as I think he put it, in the media, it's got the judiciary to specifically issue, I don't know whether a letter, a warning, or whatever.
There was a letter inviting him to assist.
Yes.
Yes.
So I would wish that in addition to this, one would have been sent directly to the judiciary. And
that letter issued by the judiciary, was he obliged?
Well, I mean, it was at his own option. Mm-hmm. He has now opted.
So this is his option?
Yes, well, I'm just saying that I would have thought that because, and in that letter, I think that talking about sleeping dogs lying, there has not been any dogs who are sleeping in the first place. I think that should come out clearly. No dogs are lying, or no dogs are even sleeping. And that, for me, is what is underpinning this. It is a good thing. It is a noble thing that he has done. But I'm saying that in giving an apology, it should be unqualified, and inherent in it should be that the matter which maybe you were deceived about, perhaps because you had not also verified was better for you to have kept quiet or waiting directly to the authorities involved.
Let's go on Zoom. Yeah, let's start with you, Martin. Martin, what do you say?
Yeah, the statement is commendable, extremely commendable, and so at least it will help to, mitigate loss of integrity that the judges had suffered collectively. So this is good, and trust me, somebody of Muntaka's stature, I know that for sure. He will send copies to the judicial service, to the Chief Justice and then possibly to all the judges.
Martin, shouldn't citizens be worried? Shouldn't citizens be worried?
Even a greenhorn like me would advise him.
Martin.
So I expect that he being higher up there, by all means, they would have dispatched copies to the Chief Justice.
Martin, should we not be worried? Hello, Martin. Should we not be worried that he doesn't say this is untrue, and yet this is where it should end?
Okay, wow. You are saying something, accountability, right? I get your point. That's quite a strong one. Yes, you see, so it means that he has succumbed to our normal Ghanaian ethos. Oh, let sleeping dogs lie. Give it to God. You say, yes, because the question you are asking demands that there should be accountability. We should get to the bottom of it. And yet here is Muntaka making a U-turn to say he will let sleeping dogs lie. That's the nature of our society. That's quite a complex matter. Maybe
Oliver,
we can reflect on it subsequently.
Oliver, does the tone of the statement not suggest to you that Muntaka has something, but he's unwilling to pursue, but he wants to issue an apology and a retraction to appease the judiciary that is not excited about his comment? Should it end here?
I think for accountability...
No, I'm asking Oliver.
So one of the things I think generally about this is that I think that our democracy is poorer for this letter, even as I understand the motivations behind it. For me, it reads almost like a hostage's apology. And I think there's an inclination in our establishment politics to make a virtue of trying to massage and settle issues behind closed doors. Because I agree with you that reading the letter, we do get the impression that he hasn't abandoned or is not in any way doubting the veracity of whatever report that was made to him. We do not see him stepping back on that. What he's doing is that he's not going to pursue or prosecute this matter any further. And I think that's where the biggest loss is. Now, I appreciate the sentiment that others have made as to whether, or the fact that he has not put the information out there for it to be tested as to its veracity, and that continues to cast a shadow upon the judiciary generally. But it seems to me that there are bigger forces at play here. And again, I'm going out on a limb here to say that the reasons why he probably issued this letter go beyond some of the considerations as to whether or not this was in fact true, or that he's trying to walk back an allegation which isn't true at all.
Right. Dr. Dominic Ayine, let me quote, Kokubako says, a spirit which doesn't erase the foundation of the allegation, that construction leaves room for some people to think there was some truth in the allegation after all. Not enough mitigation, in my candid opinion. You know, Muntaka said that we will respect the spirit in which he is letting things go. What do you say?
Yeah. Samson, thank you very much. And I need to make, I don't know whether a disclosure here, in the sense that I also serve as an advisor to Muntaka on many of these matters. As he said, he sought good counsel, and I was one of those people that he consulted. So I want to make that very clear. Now, on the question of the spirit, I'm sure that was a reference to the spirit, of cordial historic relations between the judiciary and parliament. And Muntaka is basically saying that in the spirit of the maintenance of that cordial relationship, he's apologizing. And then something very importantly, he has retracted what he said. Now go back and look at the literal meaning of retract. That is to withdraw the allegation. So those who are pushing the angle that he has, he's still maintaining that what he said is true, are not really being fair to the honorable member for Asawase.
What does this mean? What does this mean when he says?
I need to make, you see, a true accountability in this context, okay, would have meant, for instance, that, in our case, we would have had a parliamentary inquiry. We would have called a female MP who received that call, and a call was actually received, in respect of this matter. We would have also called, caused an investigation to be done from the number that called and called that person to appear before a parliamentary inquiry and so on and so forth. The judiciary also has its, remember we have two co-equal branches of government, and the judiciary wouldn't have been able to say the parliament should not make an inquiry into this. And if we're making an inquiry into this and it's a public inquiry, what do you think? You find that the two arms of government, are at loggerheads and are fighting each other. The judiciary dragging an MP to, a committee hearing, or maybe even contempt proceedings and so on and so forth. That would have ruptured the otherwise cordial relations between the two arms of government. But let me say this: does it
not matter? Should it not matter that he doesn't say? Should it not matter that he doesn't say this was untrue? He doesn't say. He still says, you see, he was told, he was giving this information by a trusted friend, and to the extent that he didn't mention any specific judge's name, he is retracting.
Let me say this, because I'm deeply involved in this, all right, and I know what actually happened, all right. Now, to say that the allegation is not true would have meant, investigating to find out, first of all, whether the female MP, whom I know, and I can mention her name, but not on national TV, all right, that whether she actually reported that she received a call, in respect of this matter or not. Okay.
So together, the minority in Parliament, Muntaka, yourselves, you are protecting a judge. That's the impression you are leaving us. Or you are doing this in fear of the consequences that will come on somebody who has told untruth.
Well, not exactly something. That is not the way we see it. All right. I think that we should see it as and I was going to make a comment about what Oliver said about the political establishment and so on. Our democracy is still fragile, all right, and we need as much as possible to ensure that it grows and grows, very well. So sometimes when these things happen, and you have, institutions, locking horns, or personalities within institutions locking horns and so on and so forth, you ask yourself, what damage will that do, okay, to our constitutional democracy? And that serves as the basis of assessment of whether you want to push the limits or you want to, retract.
You are basically reinforcing the point we are at pains to make here, that there is indeed some truth, but because of maintenance of a certain relationship between Parliament and the judiciary, let's let sleeping dogs lie. Is that what you took an oath to do as an MP?
No, I didn't take an oath to let sleeping dogs lie. All right. I took an oath to serve the people of Bolgatanga East, including your good self.
Yes, and because you are my MP directly, that's why I am not comfortable. Yes. I'll be frank with you, I'm not comfortable by by what you're saying, which suggests, reinforces what will be left in the public's mind, that in fact, a justice of the Supreme Court sought to misconduct themselves, and for the sake of maintaining relationships between Parliament and the judiciary, you are letting sleeping dogs lie. Or that the story is untruth, has no foundation, and yet to avoid somebody being punished for telling a lie in the public, we let sleeping dogs lie.
Okay, so the point I am making is that to be able to inquire into the truthfulness or otherwise of it, okay, would mean, in the case of Parliament, conducting a public inquiry with, a special committee of Parliament being established to do so, okay, because the allegation, let's look at it this way, and I'm treading very cautiously because this statement was issued in order to calm nerves and make sure that the relationship between the judiciary and Parliament is not ruptured. And I don't want any public comment that will end up doing damage to the reason why the statement has been issued. Okay, so I'm saying that if you wanted true accountability, it would have meant a true public inquiry into the veracity or otherwise, the truthfulness or otherwise of the allegation that was made. All right. And I'm saying that there was actually a report to that effect. There was a report to that effect. All right. And the chief whip received that report. Now, ought he to have made it public before inquiring into its truthfulness or otherwise? All right. He did not do so before going public. And I think that is where he erred. Okay, if he had investigated and found out that, maybe, first of all, the person who placed the call was not a Supreme Court justice after all. He was just simply pretending to be a Supreme Court justice in order that the lady will take it very seriously and then, act as he was, requiring, this, because we actually went to MTN, got the numbers, the calls that came to her, traced them and so on and so forth. So it is not the case that incident never happened. All right. It is just the case.
So do we as a people deserve to know what the investigations resulted in? When you made the telephony record checks, do we deserve to know so that we can be sure about the fact that it was not a judge?
You deserve to know. You have a right to information as a people. Yeah. But as a collective, as the leadership of, Parliament, the decision now is that is not the road that we want to travel, that we don't want to,
okay.
I need to be very careful.
Dr. Ine, we will find out whether the public will accept this retraction and apology, which does not clearly diminish the foundation of the allegation. Like Yaupon said, why didn't it come unconditional?
What I said was not true. But he says he has retracted it. So there is nothing, if he has withdrawn it, it is deemed as if there was no allegation that was made.
I see. Oliver, please forgive us. The main reason you joined us partly was to discuss the Parliament being angry at the President for violating the Constitution allegedly. We will table that issue again so that we can deal with it and to be sure that if that is what is going on, our imperial president, so to speak, as H.Kwesi Prempeh will say, are not violating the Constitution. But what will be your very last word on this? 30 seconds. What should we do? Should we leave it here?
On this matter, I think that from what the Honorable former Deputy Attorney General has said, that there's a clear difference between our positions, in that we are both committed to improving the substance of our democracy. The approach and how we get there, I think there's a difference between how Parliament and the leadership of parliament as an establishment have decided to go, and where a lot of people, and myself included, feel should have been the better approach. And I think that the motivations as to why both were done, I cannot impugn it, but I do generally believe that the wrong decision was made in this case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so you insist that since there is no unconditional apology, what should happen? In some 15 seconds, please.
Well, I'm looking at the title, Allegation of Corruption Against a Supreme Court Judge, Retraction and Apology. I think just one paragraph should have ended this matter, where he says that I have hereby, in my own words, retracted and apologized. So I respectfully, quote, I respectfully retract,
time is up,
same and apologize for the harm done. It should have ended there.
Thank you all very much for staying with us on Newsfile. Have a good afternoon. Next week we join you hopefully with another edition. Yao Pon, thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.